Hello everybody, how's it going? It's dinner time, so I thought I'd bring you on here live and teach you how to make what I'm making tonight for dinner. So I'm Danny Tippett, and if you are watching the replay, which if you're watching this portion of the video, you're probably watching the replay, go ahead and comment replay below so I can see who's watching. If you do hop on live, go ahead and say hello. Give me 1 second, I'm just going to invite somebody and then we can get started. So tonight I am going to be making one of our favorite meals and something that a lot of people have requested me to show you how to make. So it's bow tie pasta, my favorite. Oh my gosh, who else loves bow ties? I love them, they're like my favorite. So bow tie pasta with like a creamy wine, Parmesan, Alfredo-y sauce, whatever. So I'm going to show you how I do it. Now I already did cooked my chicken. I'm going to put chicken in it. And all I did for that was I cut up a chicken breast and just cooked it in some oil, some garlic, and then I put a few seasonings in it like basil, oregano, and Italian seasoning. And just cook that up. It's in bite-sized pieces already. It cooks easier that way, and it's just easier in the end because you can eat it bite-sized. But you can really do it however you want. And you can also add any meat you want, or you don't have to add meat. So you could do shrimp, you could do chicken, you can do really whatever you want. But I'm doing chicken tonight. So anyway, I'm going to get started with the sauce. That's the part that's the most exciting. So I'm gonna turn my burner on to like medium-high. And I'm going to take about like 2.5, 3 tablespoons of butter. I'm just picking it up with my hands, sorry guys. So that's gonna go ahead and melt in my pan. Can you guys see this? I hope you can. If you can't see it, swipe your comments away and you'll be able to see it better. So there you go. So I'm just gonna let that butter melt in the pan for a second, and once it's nice and melted, I'm going to add my garlic. Now this is a creamy garlic Parmesan sauce, so I'm gonna add kind of a lot of garlic. You can do however much you want, but we like garlic, so I'm gonna do kind of a lot. So like just a little handful of cloves here, but you don't have to add this much if you're not a huge fan of garlic. So that's melting. Let me put my garlic in here. I'm just going to start pressing it into here. Oops. And butter tastes so much better. Like use butter instead of oil to make the sauce. It's gonna taste so much better. Okay, so I'm just gonna let that sit for a second so that the garlic can brown, but it's probably gonna brown pretty quickly here. And the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some flour. Now this is what you call a roux. You're gonna create a roux. Now whenever you make like cheese sauce for mac and cheese, or if you make like a creamy, thicker, cheesy sauce, you want to make a roux at the beginning. So what that means is you're gonna put some butter in the bottom of the pan. Whoops. And then you're gonna take some flour and whisk it together, and it's going to kind of thicken up that butter, which is going to, in the end, thicken up your sauce, because you don't want it to be super runny. So I'm just creating a roux. I did turn the heat down a little bit. But as you can hopefully see, it's getting a little bit thicker. You don't want chunks in it, so you want to make sure you keep whisking it around. And add a little bit more. go. You can see it's thickening. Oh, I also have this big pot right here with my water, which I think is almost boiling, but not quite. Okay, next I'm gonna take this wine. I just got the boxed Pinot Grigio wine. You just want a white wine and a cheap one. At least in my opinion, it's easier. And this one you can save because it's in the box and it stays for a while. At least I think so. I don't know, I'm not a wine snob. And I'm just gonna pour some in. I don't measure anything, I'm really sorry. So I guess you're just gonna have to kind of figure out, hey Haley, how's it going? Okay, so, and the reason that I just put that in there is because I don't want my roux to burn. Or, you know, you can kind of, you don't want it to get too, I mean, it burns, so you don't want it to burn. Okay, so I turn the heat down to almost all the way low. And I'm gonna take my Parmesan cheese and I'm gonna start grating it into the stuff. And like I said, I don't measure things, so just watch and learn. And I'm also only making this for David and I, and not really gonna make a ton of it. I think this kind of meal is always better the first time. I don't like it as much when it's like the second time around or when it's heated up again. So I try not to make too many leftovers of it if I can help it. Okay, so just grating some cheese into that. I'm probably gonna add more than that, but I like to do a little bit at a time. You can see that mound of cheese right there. Right there. And then I also like to take some mozzarella cheese. I did this one time because I think we were running low on Parmesan and I actually really liked how it tasted. So I'm just gonna add some mozzarella as well. And just start stirring that around. Now you'll see the cheese is going to start melting, but you also, I'm gonna add some more liquid, so I'm gonna add some more wine. And the reason I'm not adding the cream yet is because you don't want the cream to get too hot and come to a boil. If it boils, that's not good, so that's why I'm adding the wine right now. You could use milk as well if you want to, but the wine gives the sauce a really good flavor. Can you guys see this at all? Yummy! Okay, let me add a little bit more Parmesan cheese. And this is how I cook, you guys. Like, I don't measure, I don't use a recipe, I just kind of feel it, you know what I mean? Like, that should be enough cheese, you know? That's how I roll. Okay, so my water for the pasta is boiling now, so I'm gonna go ahead and add that in. Like I said, I'm using Bowties. You can use any kind of pasta, like angel hair or spaghetti would be really good with this too. Penne is really good with it, so whatever you have or whatever you like is cool. I'm not gonna use the whole box because I don't think we need it. Okay, so the pasta is in there. I'm gonna turn my heat up a little bit higher, like medium low, so that it's still hot enough to melt the cheese, but not hot enough to make it simmer, really is kind of the goal. I'm gonna add a little bit more wine, need more liquid in here. A little wine never hurt anybody, right? All right, then I'm gonna add my seasoning. So I'm gonna use oregano, some basil, and this is all personal preference, like how much you wanna add and everything. And and some Italian seasoning. Okay, I don't know why that's making noise. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of salt and some pepper. And remember, this already has the garlic in it. If you don't have fresh garlic, which would be really sad because the fresh garlic makes this really good, but if you didn't, you could use garlic powder at this point. Look at this, you guys. So yummy. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add my heavy cream. So I'm going to turn it down pretty low, almost all the way to low, because at this point you don't want it to simmer or boil anymore. You just want it to kind of mix all together, but you don't want it to boil, because when cream boils, it, like, you know, it goes all over the place and it's not good for the cream. So I don't know the technical terms, so whatever. So I'm just adding some heavy cream. Like I said, you still want it to be warm. You want it to be hot enough to melt in and mix in all together. But you don't want it too hot to where it's going to boil. And I just pour in a little bit at a time. Still not quite as thin as I want it. So I'm going to add a little bit more. I think that should be good. Yeah, that's good. So you don't, at least my personal preference is not to have it super thin. I don't like it to be like juice at the bottom of the bowl that it's sitting in, if you know what I mean. Sometimes if it's too thin, it doesn't really cover the pasta. It kind of goes to the bottom of the bowl and you don't really have it as a sauce. So I like it to be a little bit thicker, but not too thick to where it's chunky. So this is kind of the consistency that I prefer. So I'm going to turn it all the way to low and just, now I'm going to add the chicken. So like I said, I already made my chicken. I just cut up some chicken breast. I used some oil and some garlic in the bottom of the pan, and then I added some seasoning. So I did Italian seasoning, oregano, and basil, which is exactly what I used in my sauce. So I'm just going to add this in now. I'm gonna add the chicken in to the sauce. And it's okay if you get some of the oil or whatever from the bottom of the pan from the chicken. So another thing that I'm going to add in is peas. I really like peas with pasta. Peas are one of my favorite things. I don't know why, I just like them. You could also use, whoa, this is going to overflow. Hold on. Hold on, hold on. My stove gets so hot and I never know when it's gonna, like, I'm used to gas, like a gas stove top. That's what I grew up with, and so now with these electric ones, I don't understand it. Like, it gets so hot and then you have to shut it off and then you have to turn it back on. It's so confusing. That's okay. Anyway, what was I saying? Peas. Okay, so I'm adding peas to mine, but you could also add broccoli, would be really good, or any other vegetable, or you don't have to add a vegetable. You also don't have to add a meat, or you can add shrimp instead. You can add whatever you want, and you can use whatever pasta you want. So this is kind of something that you can alter to fit what you enjoy the most. So I'm just going to take some peas. Now these are frozen. Maybe I need to turn this up a little bit. They are frozen, so it's gonna cool down the sauce for a second, but it'll warm back up. And just add in whatever your heart desires. It's up to you. I think that should be good. Can you see it, guys? So I've got the peas, the chicken, the Alfredo sauce. Look at the sauce. It looks so yummy. So yummy. So I'm going to, I guess I'll keep it down at low, it's fine. And I'll just cover it so that it stays warm while my pasta finishes cooking. And then when my pasta finishes cooking, I'll strain it and I'll just add it into the same pan, and then I'll put it in a serving dish, and that's all you do. So it's really not that hard. The sauce is a little bit tricky if you've never done it before, but creating that roux is something that really helps the thickness of the sauce. So I'll just go over it one more time, just say what I did. So I put butter in the pan at first, then some garlic, and then I let the garlic brown a little bit, and then I added a couple spoonfuls of flour and whisked that together. Whisk the butter and the flour together to create a roux. You want it to get kind of thick because that's going to help the thickness of the sauce. Then I started to add some white wine. I just used this Pinot Grigio that is like a boxed wine. So I added some of that just to kind of thin it out and make sure that the roux did not burn. Then I added some Parmesan cheese, some Mozzarella cheese. Then I added my seasoning, so oregano, basil, Italian seasoning, some salt and pepper. And then I mixed that all around, made sure the cheese was all nice and melted and stirred in there. And then I added the heavy cream at the end, turned it all the way down to low. And that's all. I mean, I put my chicken in there, I put the peas in there, but you can add a different vegetable. Broccoli would be really good. You can add a different meat. Shrimp would be really good, but there's the sauce and everything. And then I have my bow ties finishing up. So I'm gonna go ahead and strain those when they're done and just add them straight to the pan. And that's all you do. You can top it with some more shredded Parmesan cheese, but other than that, that's it. So if you missed the beginning of this video and you want to rewatch it, I will definitely post it so that you can watch the replay. But that is all. So if you guys try this or try anything similar to it, let me know. Send me some pictures. I want to see what you guys think of it. But anyway, if you have any questions, feel free to comment them below or message me, and I will be happy to help you guys. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.